History isn't just about big battles. Sometimes, wars get downright weird. In this video, we're counting down the top 10 weirdest wars ever fought in history. From strange causes to bizarre tactics that sound almost unbelievable. Before we jump in, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss fascinating history stories that keep you hooked. Let's get started. 10. The War of Jenkins year, 1739 to 1748. This 9-year war between Britain and Spain started because a Spanish Coast Guard captain allegedly cut off a British smuggler's ear. Captain Robert Jenkins claimed that Spanish officials boarded his ship, tortured him, and sliced off his ear as punishment for illegal trading. Jenkins preserved his severed ear in a jar and later displayed it to the British Parliament, causing public outrage. The incident became a rallying cry for British merchants who wanted to expand trade in Spanish territories. What started as a personal grievance escalated into a major international conflict involving multiple European powers. The war cost thousands of lives and enormous amounts of money, all supposedly because of one man's ear. Jenkins became a folk hero in Britain, though historians debate whether the ear incident actually happened or was propaganda to justify a war Britain wanted anyway. The conflict ultimately merged into the larger War of Austrian Succession, proving that sometimes the smallest sparks can ignite the biggest fires. 9. The Emu War, 1932. Australia literally declared war on birds and lost spectacularly. After World War I, Australian veterans were given land in Western Australia to farm, but their crops were being destroyed by thousands of emus migrating across the continent. The emus were eating everything in sight and destroying fences, causing massive agricultural damage. The government decided to deploy military personnel with machine guns to eliminate the emu threat. Major GPOE Meredith led the military operation with 2 soldiers and 2 Lewis guns, expecting to quickly dispatch the bird menace. However, the emus proved to be surprisingly resilient and tactical, scattering when under fire and regrouping elsewhere. After weeks of fighting, the military had killed only a few hundred emus out of an estimated 20,000, while the birds continued devastating crops. The operation was deemed a failure, and the military withdrew, essentially admitting defeat to a bunch of flightless birds. The Emu War became a source of national embarrassment and international amusement, proving that sometimes nature wins against human technology. 8. The War of the Bucket, 1325. The Italian city-states of Bologna and Modena fought a bloody war over a stolen wooden bucket that resulted in thousands of deaths. The conflict began when Modenese soldiers raided Bologna and stole an oak bucket from a well, taking it back to Modena as a trophy. This theft was seen as a humiliating insult by Bologna, which demanded the bucket's return. When Modena refused, Bologna declared war, mobilizing thousands of troops for what should have been a simple property dispute. The war escalated quickly, with both sides calling on allies and turning a bucket theft into a major regional conflict. The Battle of Zappolino saw 4,000 deaths as heavily armored knights fought over this kitchen utensil. Modena ultimately won and kept the bucket, which they displayed proudly in their city as a symbol of victory. The bucket still exists today in Modena's town hall, a wooden reminder of one of history's most absurd wars. This conflict perfectly illustrates how pride and honor can transform the most trivial disputes into deadly serious matters. 7. The Pastry War, 1838 to 1839. France invaded Mexico after a French pastry chef claimed Mexican soldiers damaged his shop and demanded compensation. When Mexico refused, France escalated the claim to 600,000 pesos and sent a naval fleet to blockade ports. Fighting broke out, including the bombardment of Veracruz. Mexican General Santa Anna lost his leg resisting the invasion and became a hero. The war ended with Mexico paying the hefty sum, showing how minor disputes can spark major conflicts. 6. The Anglo-Zanzibar War, 1896. The shortest war in history lasted just 38 to 45 minutes over a succession dispute in Zanzibar. When the Sultan died, his nephew Khalid bin Bargash took power without British approval. Britain demanded he step down, but he refused and barricaded himself with 2,800 men. After a 9 a.m. ultimatum passed on August 27, 1896, British ships bombarded the palace, killing or wounding about 500 defenders. Khalid fled, and Britain installed their preferred sultan within hours. The British suffered only one injury, winning quickly and cheaply, a striking example of gunboat diplomacy. 5. The Football War, 1969. El Salvador and Honduras went to war after violent riots broke out around soccer World Cup qualifying matches. Tensions over immigration and land disputes have been rising, but attacks on fans and flag burnings during the games ignited the conflict. El Salvador launched a surprise military attack on Honduras, leading to 4 days of fighting and over 3,000 deaths before a ceasefire was reached. While soccer wasn't the root cause, the matches triggered the outbreak of war, showing how sports can fuel deeper national tensions. 4. The Pig War, 1859. The United States and Britain almost went to war over a pig shot on San Juan Island. The pig, owned by a British citizen, wandered onto an American settler's land and ate his potatoes, leading the settler to shoot it. Both nations claimed the island, and military forces, hundreds of soldiers and warships, faced off over the incident. At one point, 461 American troops confronted 2,140 British soldiers and 5 warships. Luckily, the conflict was resolved peacefully with a joint occupation and diplomatic talks. After 12 years, Germany's Kaiser Wilhelm I awarded the island to the U.S., the only casualty, the pig, making it one of history's most bloodless international disputes. 3. The War of the Stray Dog, 1925. Greece and Bulgaria nearly went to war after a Greek soldier crossed the border chasing his dog and was shot by Bulgarian guards. Greece demanded compensation and, when unsatisfied, invaded Bulgarian villages. The League of Nations quickly intervened, forcing Greece to withdraw and pay damages. This brief conflict showed how fragile peace was in the Balkans, where even a dog chase could spark a serious crisis fueled by nationalism and pride. 2. The Honey War, 1838 to 1839. Goa and Missouri fought the Honey War over a disputed border strip, rich in valuable honey trees. Confused boundary lines led both states to claim the land, prompting militias to face off with thousands of armed men. The only damage was a few honey trees cut down by Missouri troops. The conflict ended without bloodshed after federal intervention, with Missouri keeping most of the land and Iowa gaining territory elsewhere. The Honey War shows how even sweet resources can spark serious disputes. 1. The War of the Golden Stool, 1900. Britain's demand to sit on the Ashanti Golden Stool, sacred to the Ashanti as the soul of their nation, sparked a fierce war in Ghana. British Governor Hodgson ignored its deep spiritual meaning, injuring the Ashanti, who saw it as a grave insult. Led by Queen Mother Yasantua, they fiercely resisted, but after a brutal war, the British won and exiled Ashanti leaders. Yet the real Golden Stool was hidden and never captured. This conflict shows how colonial ignorance of local beliefs led to deadly, lasting struggles. And that's a wrap on the top 10 weirdest wars ever fought, proof that history can be as strange as it is serious. Which war surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments. We love hearing your reactions. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for more wild and wonderful history facts. See you in the next one.